Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, we are going to be doing the video that I promised this morning in the daily wrap-up, where we talk about the two packs right here, the standard and the premium version of the egg coins, and how they compare to if you actually did the runs instead, and the whole energy conversion to turning that energy into a comparable amount of egg coins, and how this offer breaks down compared to the general landscape of raid and the event. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so I'm sure by now all of you are very familiar with the Path of Spring event that's going to be going on over the weekend. It's really the only show in town. We just had the Razelvarg fusion come to a close, so this is going to be the hottest topic in the raid community for this weekend. It's like the 10x for Gyorgid and the Path of Spring event. And I did do a dedicated video yesterday breaking down the whole event down here in an article that we had on the site and a video here on the channel. If you need to get caught up really quick, all of that is live for you. But for this video, I thought this warranted more than just like a 30-second discussion in a daily wrap-up video because of it involving a big blessing for Razelvarg, and Razelvarg being a fusion that people were decently hyped up and excited for because he has interesting mechanics and a crazy passive and all of that. So there may be some people out there that are genuinely curious on, is it worth it if I'm close to purchase like the 30,000 egg coins that'll put me over the top of finishing the event, because I need like 96,000. That could be a pretty big chunk. So for people that are in like the medium to high tier of spending, is it going to be worth it or not? Obviously, for people that are free to play and towards the lower end of the spectrum for spending, these egg coins are not going to be it. They're not going to be a good pack. But for the people that are in the tier of really trying to pursue, I wanted to have a breakdown for them to see how it's going to compare. And in terms of actual pack value, it's really not that different between the two. The more expensive one is a little bit better because you have got the price per coin of 0.0013 versus 0.0015. So both of them are pretty close, but the more expensive version is going to be a little bit better than like price per unit ratio. So then really the discussion becomes, how does it compare? Like if you spent that same amount of money on energy to run the dragon during the speed event and all of that, like how many, like what's the comparison? How many egg coins would you get for the energy that you spent versus spending those resources on just buying the pack? And you know, it's important to remember that you do get silver as well. A lot of people forget about that sometimes. And it's a big component in the discussion of gemming your masteries in the Minotaur or not. A lot of people forget that you're actually missing out on some silver as well. It's not just a straight gem. You can use it to get some silver or XP if you plan it effectively in grinding the Minotaur. And it's the same thing here for the dragon. You do get the 18k as a reward on dragon hard 10, which is what I was doing for this. And then also you're going to be able to sell most of those artifacts because you only keep somewhere between like 1 and 5% of the artifacts that drop while you're farming dungeons, depending on your account status and how far progressed you are. So yeah, anyway, the short answer is if you wanted to convert that $20 into energy, the average pack value would get you about 5,400 energy for that $20 of resource spent, and that would get you 270 runs on Dragon Hard 10, and then those 270 Dragon runs would get you about 9,400 egg coins. There is a little bit of RNG, but you're going to be averaging about 35 per run, so you can expect to be pretty close to 9,400 over a sample size as large as 270. So what that ends up meaning is that that is going to be a comparison of 9,400 egg coins via doing the dragon and 15,000 via the purchase pack. But remember, like I talked about, we're missing out on gear, silver, and potentially XP if you structure your teams to be like a 3-person team with 2 food champions and all of that. So then I wrote right here what you can probably expect about to lose out on if you are buying the pack instead of spending that energy that you could have bought on the dragon runs. And I would assume about 2 to 3 great pieces. That's usually about a 1% rate. So if you're doing 270 runs, it'd be about 2 or 3 great pieces. Obviously, you can get really lucky and get 5 or 6. You can get screwed and get 0. It just kind of depends on your RNG, but it's usually about a 1% clip on getting great pieces. 4 to 6 good pieces and 5 to 10 decent pieces. So depending if you are end game, mid game, or kind of earlier in the game, but you're probably not going to be doing Dragon Hard 10 if you're early game. You're just kind of looking for any sort of decent gear you can get at that point. Silver, you're going to get about 10 to 15 million, depending on what stage you're grinding. And then the XP, we already talked about that. So what I kind of came to here in conclusion is that I would say it is going to technically be better to do the Dragon runs if you have the time and the capability, but for early to mid-game players who trend towards the higher tier of spending, it wouldn't be an awful choice to purchase the better version of the Egg coin pack if they are serious about getting the Razelvarg blessing because they finished the Razelvarg fusion. And there is another dynamic to this, and that is that Razelvarg is not really going to be super popular in the arena or the live arena or anything like that. So it's going to depend on what you need for PvE content. I would say if you can't get if you can't get the max chest on the 3 hardest difficulties of the Hydra, this event has a lot more value for you because Razelvarg is going to be a pretty good Hydra champion that'll definitely make it in your 18 champions that you're using in your 3 different teams, especially if he has a 5-star blessing. So I believe the event would have a lot more value to you if you are struggling in the Hydra. If you're already one keying the 3 hardest difficulties, maybe not, but it is worth noting that right now in the Hydra, they do not have an ultra difficulty on there. So it is probably going to be coming at some point. I would assume they've never really released a version of content and never at any point added a tougher version. They did do it with the Minotaur, but that's because you can gem the resources and gem the masteries. So they probably don't want to up it to Minotaur 20 and throw off that whole economy. So we've seen them add like the potion keeps go up to 20. They've added tons of new dungeon stages since the game got released. The Iron Twins and the Sand Devil's Necropolis are so new that it's not shocking they haven't added to those yet. They've added difficulties to the campaign, difficulties to the Demon Lord. So it'll probably be coming at some point where they add it into the Hydra as well. But sorry, I'm going off on tangents. In terms of this pack right here that you see on screen, I would say for anybody that is struggling in the Hydra, who trends towards the upper mid tier of spending or high tier of spending, that is serious about finishing the event, I would say it's not a bad choice. It would be a little bit better of a choice for somebody who is not progressed into the end game yet, who is tending to be a high spender. Then it would be like the perfect pack for them because they wouldn't be as efficient in grinding gear and grinding things for the event. But for like 95% of you, I would say it's probably not going to make sense long term to be investing your money in something like this and spending like $40 on purchasing the 30,000 points here on the better version of the hot offer that you see over on the right. So, all right, hopefully that gives you a little bit more clarity on the Egg Coins pack and how it kind of functions within the context of whether it's better to run the energy itself or just go ahead and purchase and who it makes sense for and who it doesn't make sense for and all of that, which by the way, if you want to see the article and the text version that I was using in this video to break it down, I will always link to that down below if you would like to pull it up and scroll through it on your end. So remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy daily Raid Shadow Legends content. I appreciate all of you. Hope you have a fun and safe weekend here on Saturday night, and I will see you soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.